Everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and we are here with our Queen Sugar recap. I didn't watch Queen Sugar last week, guys. I am so sorry. I didn't watch it, and I was just going to do the episode 5, but I decided to go ahead and do 4 and 5 in 2 separate videos because I want to commit myself to getting better at doing my recaps and doing them within the week that the television show actually aired. How are you guys feeling about Queen Sugar this season? Is it keeping you engaged, or are you kind of like drifting off, wondering like when are they going to get to like the drama that we're used to? When is this thing going to get exciting? I know that's kind of where I am with it, but we're going to go ahead and get into this recap. The show opened up with Charlie, and Charlie is being interviewed by none other than Gayle King with the CBS morning show. And then I guess they know each other, because of when Charlie was over Davis's career. And if you guys remember, in episode 3 was where Charlie, they decided to go public. They were laying in the backyard or somewhere, and Charlie says, okay, well, let's do this. And then they did a video and it said something like love wins. And they posted it to social media. And so I guess in the beginning, people were like cheering them on. But then as it went on over the next day or so, people started criticizing Charlie for getting back with Davis and that type of stuff. So she's on the Gayle King show, or the CBS morning show, being interviewed by Gayle. And I thought it was so interesting that Gayle's hair was kind of pretty on Queen Sugar, but then when she's actually on the CBS morning show, her hair doesn't look professionally done. And so not really sure what's going on with Gayle King. I thought after Snoop Dogg called her a dog-head bitch that she would have did better, but that doesn't seem to be the case. But she did look like, maybe the Queen Sugar people came in and helped her out. And so while they're doing the interview, it starts out talking about the political aspirations and the fact that Charlie is being considered for the party. We all know it's the Democratic Party, and, whether or not she's ready to get into politics and that type of thing. And then Gayle shifts it to her relationship with Davis, and Charlie seemed to have been kind of caught off guard about it, but then she, paved her way through it, talked her way through it, and basically saying that, Davis needs to put in the work, and if he's willing to put in the work, then she's going to be there for him. And so it seems like Charlie might be rethinking her decision to get back with Davis and how it is going to impact their relationship. We know that it's going to be a long distance relationship because she wants to, she's on the city council in St. Joe and she doesn't want to give that up. And then he, as I mentioned before, he was in New Orleans, then he was at Baylor, which I think is in Texas, and now he's been offered a job with some semi-pro team, or maybe it's just a fake pro team, but he's a coach back in Los Angeles. And I don't know if I brought this up before about Davis and the daughter, because I thought Davis had moved to California to be with the daughter, but we haven't seen the daughter. Like, he came to take care of Charlie. We didn't see the daughter. The two of them parading back and forth, hanging out, hiding out at the hotel. We ain't seen the daughter. And then Charlie mentioned the daughter in the interview with Gayle King, And Gail didn't seem to be surprised, like, well, damn, Davis got a daughter. Like none of that happened. And so that was interesting. So, Charlie didn't want to be a part of the little girl's life. Y'all remember that a few seasons ago when the little girl, Davis brought the little girl to meet Micah. Charlie wanted nothing to do with that. So how is she going to interact with being a stepmom to this little girl? Like, will we get to see that approached on the show at some point? And so anyway, let's move right along. So Darla and Ralph Angel, they're in the bed, okay, and they wake up and they're talking and they hear a noise outside. And so they were like, well, what's going on? So Ralph Angel gets up and looks out the window and he sees trucks and police cars coming on his property. So, of course, he runs outside, to see what's going on. And the old racist sheriff that they have in the town lets Ralph Angel know that they have a search warrant to search the farm. And so some judge, supposedly, after Nova wrote that book and wrote in the book that Ernest may have buried these men on the property after they harassed Nova at the gas station or the corner store. So allegedly the families of these missing men have gone to a judge and said, oh, we want them to search that property. Now, we know ain't no families came forward and said that, because that, according to the family, was a fable. It was a story. And I think Prosper even told Nova that it wasn't true. And so anyway, they're trying to harass and intimidate the Bordelon family, for always meddling and interfering with stuff, probably trying to scare them up, excuse me, trying to scare them, after they knocked Prosper down and injured him. But anyway, they are there to search the land looking for these dead men. So then over at Prosper's, he is with Billy, and Billy is serving him breakfast in bed. And, she's basically telling him that he needs to stay on top of his medication and the foods that he's eating. And so Billy wants him to bring in a home health aide, but Prosper is like, he doesn't want that. He doesn't need anybody coming in his house, and he can't afford it. But Billy is on top of it, y'all. Billy done already hired the nurse to come in, and she lets Prosper know. And then Prosper was kind of like, fighting the urge to allow the person to come in or to yell at Billy, for interfering once again. So then he kind of softens his tone and he asks Billy about her boyfriend, who is a guy named Vince. And so Billy was like, she was kind of hesitant. She didn't say that they had broken up, but she did say that things were not going well between her and Vince, which might explain why Vince didn't come with her and why Vince hasn't been calling her on the phone to see how she's doing or when she's coming back. And so they get to talking, and I think he brought up Nova and was saying how he was disappointed that Billy and Nova, weren't close friends anymore. And he asked Billy something else, and then she said, and I thought that line was like, wow, that says a lot about her as a person. She said something about friends are just people that haven't become your enemies yet. And I was like, okay, that's a real interesting concept. And the reason I say it says a lot about her is because you're already going into friendships thinking that they are going to fail. And so that goes back to how much pain and how much hurt she must have experienced when her friendship with Nova broke up. And so maybe we'll get more into, that whole dynamic of their friendship as the season goes along. So then there was a scene with Nova. Oh, Nova, remember Nova, somebody left the picture on Nova's stoop with the bullseye or something on it. Well, she's getting security cameras installed, and I thought it was interesting that it was a female woman, that it was a female technician that was installing the cameras at Nova's house. And you guys know everything on Queen Sugar is intentional and is sending a message of some sort. So while Nova is talking to the security technician, who walks by? We already know who walked by. It was Dominic, because it seems like whenever Nova is outside, here he comes. And then I want to go back to Nova's house, because y'all know I talked about that house in the previous video, how Nova used to be in the 9th Ward and she was the only house on the block. Y'all remember that? Now we got a lake and we got some other houses on the other side of the lake. And then we got Dominic strolling by with the sister Loretta, who he looks fully black. She looks biracial. I don't know what's going on with that situation. But in any event, he comes by and was basically like letting her know that he has her back and he's, watching out for her, looking out for her. And then he tells Nova that he wants her, when she comes home, to text him, and he'll be looking out for her. But to go back to the house situation, Lord, I forgot just that quick what I was about to say. So my daughter said that in last season's episode that Nova and Calvin moved into a house together. Now, I didn't recall that happening. I recalled Calvin moving into the house with Nova, because remember they were having the argument about him. I think he was eating in the bed or something, and he was leaning on her silk pillows, and she was chastising him about that. So when I was watching this episode, I was very intentional about looking at this house. And the interior of the house is that same house that was on that dead-end road where she was the only person out there in the middle of nowhere. Same interior, same design, same layout. But now all of a sudden we got the lake across the street and the other houses. And so I know I'm not losing my mind. But do you guys remember Nova and Calvin moving into the house together? Because I missed that part when they, I think it would have to have been last season that would have happened. So anyway, we move over to the restaurant, and Hollywood is talking to Gabriel, who has came over, and they are going to go fishing. And then Celine, she's happy that Gabriel gets to go out and have fun for a change, that they're not cooped up in this motel room any longer. And so she just seems to be like a totally different person, a lot more energy than she had when she was scared and in the motel room. And so let's see, it's time, because I'm trying to remember. Y'all know I'd be taking my notes. And I actually took these notes not today, but a few days ago. So Charlie, okay, I already talked about the Gayle King. That's what's going on here. So then we have a scene with Micah and that friend Isaiah of his, who I swear they are moving this along, that Micah and this boy are going to fall in love with each other. And I know that Micah is gay in real life, but I just see that that's where they're trying to go with this whole storyline with this Isaiah boy. And so anyway, they're having a debate again about Marcus Garvey and the Back to Africa movement. And during their conversation, they bring up how they want to get rid of police brutality and how it would feel without the threat of violence from the police. Like, we all want that to happen. And so Isaiah tells Micah that he knows that Micah is sleeping with the professor. Y'all remember that one episode where Micah and the teacher were getting busy in the bed? And I was like, well, what happened to that whole situation? Well, Isaiah said that he can tell by the way they be looking at each other and how the lady be looking at Micah. Child, now I thought the class was online. See, this is another confusing thing about this show, because Micah is in a dorm, right, with the guy Isaiah. But on the first episode, Micah was taking the class over Zoom, and it said that Micah was part of a program, like a intercollegiate, like 2 colleges were allowing students because of COVID to take classes on other campuses. And so I guess that's how Micah was able to take the class, but now Micah is actually physically on campus. And so I didn't understand how the other boy could see that Micah and this lady liked each other if it was an online class, right? Or am I missing something again? So anyway, Micah is like shocked that this boy done figured out that something's going on between him and this lady. And Isaiah assures him that he won't tell anybody, that it is their secret. So we head back over to the farm, and Ralph Angel's all up in the sheriff's face, talking trash, knowing that that man is just looking for a reason to take him to jail. And so the guy tells him, you know, he has a warrant. Him and Ralph Angel get into an argument, and Darla, I thought it was so cute. Darla came out, and because the police officer, you know, he was getting aggressive with Ralph Angel. Ralph Angel was being aggressive with him. You know, the guy gave Ralph Angel the warrant that allowed them to search the property. Ralph Angel balled it up, and so the guy, you know, he was pretty much threatening Ralph Angel that he was going to arrest him if he didn't get out of his way. And then all of a sudden you hear Darla, Ralph Angel, please come in the house. So I said, oh, okay. Darla stand there rubbing her belly like, boy, if you don't get in this house. So Ralph Angel throws the warrant at I think he threw it at the police officer and then walked off. And the police, you know, the sheriff, I shouldn't say police officer, the sheriff, you know, he was kind of smirking like, boy, I'm not even thinking about you. So that ended peacefully, okay? And so, then Ralph Angel, it was a scene where Ralph Angel was kind of like shadowing the people that were out there digging for the bones. And I think he got into another confrontation and he was walking away. And then as he was walking away, he bent over and scooped up some dirt into a bag. And I was like, okay, what did he do that for? Well, he was taking it to his friend Benny to get the soil tested, because he thought that the people were there, that they were actually doing something to destroy his crops, and they were just using the bodies as a reason to be out there. And then someone was saying, I think it was on Twitter, where they were saying that Ralph Angel's last 2 crops were ruined. But I thought the crop last year was a good crop, but they weren't able to harvest the crops because of COVID and because, you know, they didn't have enough workers to come out and harvest. And, you know, then if they harvested, the mills and things were closed, and so they wouldn't be able to do that. But I thought that was a really good crop, because remember, there was a scene where Ralph Angel said that he was going to let the crop die and go back into the earth, and then it would make the next crop even stronger and better. But I guess that's not happening, and the crop that he's producing in this harvest really isn't that good, and he realizes he's not going to make a lot of money off of it. And so now he's thinking, okay, somebody's doing something to my soil. And then we learn later on that the soil comes back with so much pesticide in it that it was like unhumanly possible. Like somebody had to be out there literally pouring the pesticide on the crop. And so I was thinking like, okay, well, I can't see anybody getting on Ralph Angel's property to do that. So were they flying over and dropping the pesticide? But it seemed like he still would have heard the helicopters when they were putting the pesticide down. So then I was thinking, okay, well, maybe they did it when him and Darla got married and they had went off to their honeymoon. So I'm just not understanding how somebody just comes on your property and loads it up with pesticide and you not know what's going on. Because I know even when I fertilize my yard, when you walk up, you can smell the fertilizer, the fresh fertilizer on the ground. So why didn't Ralph Angel smell this pesticide that was being poured on his crops? And why didn't it kill the crops? Seemed like it would have, if it was that much pesticide, seemed like it would have, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how it would work. I know the pesticide, what kills bugs and stuff. But anyway, it just seems like he should have known that something was different. that was going on. So anyway, we go back to Billy. So Billy stops by Nova's house for a conversation. I guess, thinking about what she had talked to Prosper about earlier in that day. She was going to take a deep breath and she was going to go ahead and be the bigger person and approach Nova. And so she basically, they were arguing about, let me see. Did it come out last week or the week before last? I think it had already come out about Jimmy Dale was lying on her. And so now I think they're having a follow-up conversation, if I'm remembering this correctly. But Nova tells Billy that she didn't deserve the treatment that she received regarding her and Jimmy Dale. And Billy is like, she was initially attracted to him, but ran away from him before anything happened. And so the people on Twitter, was basically saying that, Jimmy Dale was the scum of the earth. Men are the scum of the earth. They take advantage of people, just going on and on and on about that. But I'm sitting there saying Billy was 18 years old. And she definitely stated that she was attracted to Jimmy Dale. So nobody is blaming Billy for following Jimmy Dale, going to meet Jimmy Dale wherever it was. And then I'm wondering, did she really have a change of heart and leave and fight him off? Or is she just trying to save face, trying to get back into everybody's good graces? Like, what do you guys think? Do you think that something really happened between her and Jimmy Dale? Or is she just having buyer's remorse and was embarrassed because Jimmy Dale went back and told everybody in town what had went down between them? And so she said that even though she was able to get away from Jimmy Dale, she couldn't defend herself from the rumors that Jimmy Dale was spreading. And then I was trying to figure out, if Jimmy Dale and Aunt Vi were married, why was Jimmy Dale running around telling somebody that he had been slept with Billy? Like, I'm thinking it was more to the story than what she's saying it was. And what would have prompted Jimmy Dale to... So I think something really did happen, that they did actually have sex. And both of them reacted differently to how that sex took place. And maybe he thought that she was going to go back and tell Aunt Vi that they had sex, and so he was going to beat her to the punch. I'm not sure exactly how that played out, but I don't believe Billy that nothing happened, that she was able to get away from Jimmy Dale when she realized what it was that he wanted. Because I'm like, girl, what did you think you was going to meet this grown-ass man to do? Did she really think they were just going to go and talk? She had to have known that Jimmy Dale wanted to have sex with her. So then we have a scene with Darla and Ralph Angel. And so you guys know that they are having all these financial issues. They are struggling. They got these payday loans out there. They're behind on the mortgage. It's just like the crop's not coming in. A lot is going on. And then Darla has an aha moment. When she was going through the paperwork, registering Blue for school, she came across some documents where there was this account set up for her that had like scholarship money in it. It had, maybe her parents had put away some money into a 529 plan, which is the education plan where you can put pre-tax dollars aside. But she came across this account and it still had the money in it because she didn't finish college. So she wants Ralph Angel to give her permission to contact her parents and ask her parents, can she have that money? And Ralph Angel said, no, you can't call your parents. Like, I'm going to take care of my family. We're going to get out of this mess. And I'm sitting there like, boy, if you cared about your family, you wouldn't have quit your job at that nursing home, because I'm sure you knew you couldn't harvest that crop when you quit that job, but it was just so convenient for him to quit that job. And then we still don't know what happened with Darla and her job at the insurance company. Like, did the insurance company never open back up? Did they not do like everybody else and let their workers work from home? And more important, why y'all not getting that $2,400 in unemployment from the federal government? Not understanding what's going on here. So then we move over to Prosper, and he calls Aunt Vi, telling her about Billy getting this nurse. And so the two of them get to talking and everything. And I think Aunt Vi said she was going to bring some food over because Prosper didn't think this woman could cook. Well, the nurse finally shows up, and Prosper seems to be smitten by her, y'all. Like, I said, Prosper face lit all up, and the lady looked like Patti LaBelle to me. I ain't gonna lie, I had to do a double take. I said, nothing that done brought Patti LaBelle on Queen Sugar to be Prosper's new love interest. But that lady, once she took that mask off, I said, oh no, that ain't none Patti LaBelle. But she could sing though, because there was a scene at the end where she started singing a Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye song. She said she had all of their music. And I'm like, well, how much music did they have? Because Tammy Terrell, didn't she commit suicide or she died or something at a fairly early age? But the nurse said she had all their music, y'all. So anyway, we're going to get to them later on. And I really don't have that much to go because really wasn't that much going on this show. So we go back over to Micah and the professor. It is her birthday, the one that he is, knocking boots with. So Micah goes and knock on the door and come in. He got some fresh cut flowers and he want to tell her happy birthday. And that professor was like, pump your brakes. Like, this was all about sex, you catching feelings. This is my damn job. This is my office. You can't be coming in here disrespecting my place of employment. Like, I can lose my job fooling around with you, boy. Are you crazy? And so Michael was all confused. And he was like, well, I was just thinking, like, it's your birthday. I wanted to do something nice for your birthday. But Sister Girl's like, no, it don't work that way. And as a matter of fact, Micah, I can't give you what you want because you want an emotional relationship. I want a sexual relationship. So let's not do this anymore. Let's bring this to an end. I said, dang, Sister is a pro. She done slept with a whole bunch of students out there. But you guys, if you have followed my recaps, I don't do recaps that often anymore. And I'm hoping to get back into it and get better with it. But I used to talk about previously how shows would have the same themes like during the same seasons. And so if you guys watch that show, Run the World, it came on Stars. I didn't even finish the season because I could never stay woke long enough. So I think I'm going to binge watch it one day when I don't have anything to do. But on that show, it was about 4 or 5 friends and their relationships. And one of the friends was in a master's program. It was either a master's program or a doctorate program. But her professor was the actor Stephen Bishop. And the two of them were having an affair. And so I was like, okay, well, here we go with the teacher, the professor sleeping with the students on 2 different Black TV shows within like the same year. And so that reminded me of that. But I don't know if we're going to see this professor again because she cut Micah off with the quickness, okay? Oh, and the lady had told Micah, she said, you're telling your family and your friends about us. You're showing up with flowers. And then I didn't remember Micah telling anybody that he was dating the teacher. But, I could have missed that. But anyway, he was heartbroken, but he was being a man about it. And so I just thought that it was so crazy, like how she dropped Micah, and Micah is obviously heartbroken, about the whole situation. So then we have a scene with Charlie, and Charlie is the opposite of Micah. Like, she is elated, she's happy that, she's back with Davis and she was just on the Gayle King show and all of that, right? And so she goes back to her hotel room and Davis has all these flowers and candles and balloons all over the room. And do y'all like that kind of stuff? Because I always think like during Valentine's Day, I'm thinking like, at what point are men going to do something different? Because this has been going on, like the whole candles, lighting the hallway, and then you get into the bedroom and the petals, rose petals on the bed. Like, guys was doing that when I was in my 20s. Like, when are we going to do something new? And so then Charlie comes into this room and Davis got all these balloons and flowers and candles everywhere. I was just like, okay, I thought Davis was going to pop out the bathroom or something and surprise Charlie, and they were going to get busy. But no, that was not the case. Charlie calls Davis to talk to him, and she goes to voicemail. And I was like, okay. But she wasn't bothered about getting sent to voicemail, because then she left this really nice message with, telling him how much it means to her to have him back in her life. And she basically says that she loves him too. And I don't remember Davis ever calling Charlie back to say that he got that message. So I don't know what's up with that. So then we get back over to the farm, and the search is still going on. And Nova shows up. And Ralph Angel, tells her that the reason they came up with this idea to dig on the farm and were able to get the warrant was because of her book. And then Nova, she apologizes and promises that she is going to make this right, and that, everything is going to get back to normal, that there really is no bodies out there buried on the farm. And then I was thinking, as big as that farm is, like, how long would it take them to search the whole farm? Or did Nova say a specific spot in her book where the bodies would have been? Because I remember Ralph Angel saying to the people, like, be careful because you're getting close to my mother's grave. And so I guess you can bury people on your property in the country, because I know in the city you can't be burying people in the backyard. Like, you will go to jail for that. Here, you can't even bury dogs. And like, if your pet dies, you can't even bury them in the backyard, without a special permit and a special box and container to put the bodies in and all of that stuff. So then we go back over to the restaurant, and Celine is there. She's helping Aunt Vi, and then Aunt Vi is telling her that she needs to file for divorce. She's like, girl, I'm helping you out, to get back on your feet, but you're not going to truly be able to start your life over until you divorce this man. And so she gave her the name and number of an attorney that she could call and talk to, but she just feels that Celine needs to get divorced if she wants to give Gabriel a better life. And let's see. And then, of course, Hollywood and Gabriel, they are fishing, and they seem to just be really happy. Gabriel is happy to have a male figure in his life. And then Hollywood seems to be very happy to be having this bonding experience with a child, because we know that he wanted to have a child, and him and his ex-wife were expecting a baby, and that baby died during childbirth, or she had the baby prematurely and the baby died. But I know that their baby died. So let's see. I think they did catch a fish, and they threw the fish back into the water. And then Hollywood uses that to like teach a lesson about patience to Gabriel. And so then we had a scene with Prosper and him, and I told y'all he then got smitten with the nurse, and then they were playing cards together, and then they started talking about Marvin Gaye and Tammy Terrell, and then she started singing, I think it was Ain't No Mountain High Enough. Yeah, I think that's what she was singing. She was singing, and Prosper was like, oh, suck it now, and then you could tell that he want him some of her, okay? So let's see. Oh, Michael's back at his dorm room, and he's all sad and depressed. And then here come Isaiah again. Okay. And so Michael tells him that the lady broke it off with him. And Isaiah is basically like, man, it was just a fling. You got the goodies. Move on to something else. Like he was telling him, you don't really have to harp on it or get down about it. And then I think they started talking about doing meditation or something. And then Michael joins in and starts doing the meditation with him. And then there was this kind of weird scene with Nova and Dominic. And so now I'm really, really giving Dominic the side eye. Also, remember the police officer who's like feeding the information to Nova for her stories? So he comes by, but he's in regular clothes. And so he's telling Nova that the police are on to her, that they figured out, they know about the article that she's writing, and he advises Nova that maybe she needs to lay low and possibly get out of town for a while. So here comes Dominic, and he basically knows that the guy is a cop, even though the guy wasn't in uniform. And so, of course, he's asking questions and everything. And so Nova was like, well, how could you tell that he was a cop? And then Dominic makes up this story about his childhood and how he was raised by his grandmother because his mother had many run-ins with the police, and how traumatic this was. And it was just a horrible experience, right? But he said he was 2 years old. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, how does a 2-year-old have all these memories about the mom and the police officer? And then it was like he caught himself, and that's when he threw in about the grandmother. And I was like, okay, Nova, you need to be a little more observant and realize that this man is not who he says he is. And at the end of the show, it's nighttime. The police are out there. They're still digging for the bones. And then Ralph Angel gets a call from Benny, where Benny confirms this high level of pesticide. And then Ralph Angel, of course, immediately think it's the Landrys, that they have something to do with it, and that they are tampering with his crops. And then Aunt Vi in Hollywood shows up. And then, of course, Ralph Angel is immediately in his feelings. But Aunt Vi is like, I'm not here to chastise you, to accuse you of anything. We are still family. I still care about you. And I am here to provide support to you. And then all of a sudden, we found something. So then one of the cops come running over, and he got this bone on a piece of paper. And I'm just like, and they were like, oh, well, it's a human bone. And then the sheriff is standing there, and he's like, well, it looked like there might have been something to that story after all. And so then the show goes off. I'm just like, child, are y'all serious right now? But anyway, guys, that's it for me. Hopefully I remembered enough of the storyline to give y'all an accurate portrayal. And I am going to go ahead, jump off of here for a few minutes, take a little break, and then I am going to come back and give you guys the recap for this week's episode. So go ahead, leave your comments, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.